Today, I'm going to be telling you guys how to make $1 million selling on eBay. What's up everyone? Welcome back to another video. If this is your first time here and you want to learn how to work from home, buying and selling on eBay, then make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and don't forget to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything. Now with that out of the way guys, let's get into the topic today. How can you make $1 million buying and selling on eBay? There are plenty of YouTube channels out there that will tell you how to get rich on buying and selling on eBay, or so they say. Which brings me to a quick point before we get into the meat and potatoes here, is who are you listening to on YouTube? Who are the resellers, the quote resellers that you're listening to? Many of you guys, if you are new to my channel, then you don't know who I am and you really don't know my backstory, but my name is Phil Jones. I've actually been selling and buying and selling on eBay for about 20 years now. And when I started in this industry, back in about 2003, I went full time. And when I started back then, this was not an industry at all. As a matter of fact, it was pretty well looked down upon. And back when I got my start, I was actually buying and selling men's shoes. I actually sold a few women's also. I quickly moved on from men's shoes to neckties. And then from neckties, it was sort of a slow and natural progression into men's clothing, which is what I do now. And men's clothing being the most difficult thing to sell, to buy and sell on eBay. I would say maybe next to women's clothing. Clothing in general is definitely a difficult, a difficult road to go down. But if that is your passion and that is something that you are, tenacious about and you don't give up, then you can definitely succeed buying and selling clothing on eBay. Now, back when I started, selling men's shoes on eBay, there was no. I basically owned the entire market. I was actually doing it as a full-time living. I had quit my job to do this full-time. Back at that time, I basically had the entire market. I mean, there was no one buying and selling sneakers. There was no such thing as a sneakerhead at the time. I had free reign. When I would buy a pair of, I could pick up a pair of old Jordans for $2 or $3. I could pick up some Nike Air Flights, some Huaraches. I mean, you name it, they were out there and they were plentiful in the market because at the time, these were just old shoes. No one wanted anything to do with them. They were tossing them away, and I was buying and selling shoes. And like I said, during the time, I was actually looked down upon by most of society. So that pretty much tells you how things have changed and how much, what a long way that this industry has come. And as far as entrepreneurship in general is now sort of lifted up to a pedestal level. Whereas back then, if you said you were an entrepreneur, it basically just meant that you hadn't found a real job yet, and you were just a floater, or you were lazy, or fill in the blank. Now, I only give this little backstory not to glorify myself or to lift and praise myself, but it's basically to give you guys, like I said, a little backstory on exactly who I am, if you are new to this channel, and just to let you guys know a little bit more about my story and how I've gotten to where I am today. But the topic today is, I do not want to digress any further. I want to give you guys value for your time, and I want to value your time and attention, and which I do, and thanks for tuning in, guys. So how can you make $1 million on eBay? Well, the first thing you need to do is find a good supplier. If you're going to make $1 million this next year on eBay, then you need a very good supplier. Now, honestly, I would even say suppliers, plural, because you're going to have to do quite a bit of sales on a daily basis to make $1 million. So you need some good, dependable suppliers. You need a place where you can get inventory on a regular basis because you're going to be building a very large business that is essentially an empire, and you will be employing others. So you do need something that's dependable week after week, day after day, year after year. So that's where it's going to start, guys. Finding yourself a good supplier, wholesaler, someone on the internet, there are many places to source. I mean, you can source. That's actually a video for another time. But needless to say, that is the first thing that you need to do. Now, the next thing you're going to need to do is invest in equipment. You're going to need good, high-quality equipment as far as PCs, cell phones, computers, cameras, printers. You're going to need tables and chairs and desks, and then you're going to need warehouse space. So, you're going to need to, you're going to need a sizable chunk of cash to invest in getting some good quality equipment because you're going to need it for your workers, you're going to need it for yourself, obviously. So that's the very next step, is investing in some good quality equipment. And I would say that you're looking at somewhere around, I don't know, I'm going to keep it on the low end. I would say about $4,000, maybe $5,000 for the equipment that you will need. If you're looking, now you don't need that obviously if you're looking to get into eBay, but this video is not for those of you who are looking to get started, or this video is not for newbies. This is this is for you guys who are looking to make, exponential income, $1 million or above. So be ready to invest in some nice equipment. Now next guys, you will need somewhere for your employees to work. So you're going to need a warehouse space or a huge space within your home. And even if people are working in your home and you're doing the work in your house, you are definitely at the least going to need a warehouse in order to house your inventory, because you will have a very sizable inventory. The thing is, if you're going to earn $1 million in this business or a really good income, buying and selling on eBay, then you need to be ready to get your hands dirty. You need to be ready to get down and dirty in the trenches, because that's what it's going to take. For you to succeed in this business, for you to make this huge income. Even if you're just looking to make a good income, you need to be ready to work your butts off. Now, of course, you will need an eBay store, so you need to open up an eBay store, and I would hire some professional help as far as to flesh out the store, to talk with someone who is a specialist in building eBay stores. So so they can talk to you, they can find out what you're selling, that way that's going to give them an idea as far as to how to structure your store, what colors to use, and what sort of marketing strategy to take from that point on. But it's all going to start with your store, guys. So get yourself some professional help and build out your store. All right, guys, now you don't have to do this on day one, but you will need to do this very soon. Do not let this get away from you, because this can easily get away from you, and it's going to cause problems if it does. And that is hire yourself a bookkeeper and tax accountant, because you're going to need both of those. You're going to need someone to keep track of the books, and you're going to need someone to keep track of your taxes. Because if you don't, that is going to be a jumble cluster muck. So definitely do that, as soon as possible. Also on that note, guys, you will need a marketer. You do need someone that you're going to trust, someone who can market for you, because if you're going to invest in a business, then you do need marketing. Now the good thing about eBay is that they do marketing themselves, and that is where that monthly fee comes in. So in other words, every time you pay them a final value fee, you're basically paying them for marketing, because they do market on your behalf. So, but beyond that, you will need someone in charge of your marketing, because you do need to do things in such a way as to attract customers in an organic fashion through SEO, search engine optimization, which, by the way, a little side note, guys, I did actually do search engine optimization back some 10 years ago, and I did it for companies who were basically brick and mortar stores, and what I did was help them to get their businesses onto the internet. And you would be surprised at how many companies back then, I think it was about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, but you would be surprised at just several years back, how the companies, I was turned down time and time and time again. But probably 9 out of 10 companies would turn me down and say, we don't need a website. And companies that did have a website would say, we don't need search engine optimization. So, as you guys, that's funny now, because, everyone knows you got to have a website. You're not even in business if you don't have a website. And number two, if you're not searchable, if Google can't find you through search engine optimization, then, you're sort of dead in the water. You're like an island in the middle of the ocean that no one even knows exists. So, don't underestimate the value of a good, SEO specialist and or marketer for your business. Okay, guys, now employees. Now, at this point, you will need to hire a couple employees. Now, what I would do, what I did, matter of fact, I need to go ahead and tell you guys that I am telling you guys from experience. I used to have employees. I used to have warehouses and offices, home offices, and all that. Everything that comes along with that. But for me, over time, I was basically able to sort of trim all the fat off of my business, and now I run a very lean ship, and basically it's essentially me and one other person. I have someone who does my shipping for me, and every so often she will also do some listings. But for the most part, 9 out of 10 times, 99 times out of 100, I'm basically a one-man show. And I choose that. The reason I run a slim ship, the reason I don't work, guys, I'm not working 17, 18 hours a day. And I'm not earning $1 million a year on eBay. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But that's because I choose, it's not about how much money you're earning, it's about your quality of life. Like my previous video, is how I got rich on eBay. I am truly, to me personally, honestly, I'm the richest man that I know. And that doesn't mean I have the most money of anyone that I know. What it means is, to me personally, I have the most options. I'm able to do with my time what it is that I choose. For instance, when I get done here, I'm headed to the gym. I actually slept in a little bit last night. We had company over last night, and we were up pretty late. We made dinner for everyone, and I actually ended up sleeping in a little bit this morning, but that's the great thing. I'm able to sleep in, get up, a little bit later than normal, make a video for you guys, and I'm fixing to head to the gym. And after that, me and my daughter have, daddy-daughter date night. So needless to say, I won't get much work done today, but that is the perk, that is the benefit, that is, like I said, what makes me so rich, that I'm able to do what I want, when I want. And like I said, it's not about money. I do have enough money, but I'm able to live very comfortably. I'm able to have all that I need above and beyond. So I mean, it comes down to, what are you gonna need to make you happy? What do you need to be rich? And if that's $1 million, keep watching. So when you are hiring your help, you want to hire independent contractors. You do not want them employed, under your company, because that, just trust me, that's going to lead to a lot. It's going to cost you a lot more. Let's just put it that way, and it's going to be more headache than it's worth. So there's a reason, the cable companies, Sprint, AT&T, all these companies, they hire independent contractors. That's because it's easier on them and it doesn't cost them as much. They don't have to worry about liability insurance, so on and so forth. So you want to hire independent contractors, and if that's, I'm thinking I'll probably do a video on how to hire, a lister and a shipper. But you will, at the very minimum, you need to hire a shipper and a lister, full-time lister and a full-time shipper. Now you need to make sure that your lister is able to get on the listings that you need on a daily. And I'm going to say 50 to 100 listings every day, no exceptions. If you're looking to make $1 million this year, then those are the numbers that you're looking for. Unless you're selling something just out of this world expensive and your profit margins are through the roof. But keep in mind, guys, just because you sell $1 million gross on eBay doesn't mean that that's what you take home. You don't make $1 million. If your inventory and overhead cost you, $960,000 that year, then you only gross $40,000, and maybe before taxes. Then you only took home maybe $40,000. So it's not all about making $1 million, making $1 million. It's about how much money are you earning, how much money are you pocketing, how much money are you taking home. And then at the same time, what you need to take into account are all the fringe benefits that come along with this business. So basically, you need to weigh in the balance. Is the money that you're earning, enough for you with all the benefits that come along and with all the negative aspects that come along with this business. That's why, when I started this thing, years and years ago, I considered starting a YouTube channel, and I was going to call it PowerSeller Lifestyle. And I actually bought the website address, PowerSellerLifestyle.com. Years and over 10 years ago, and but at the time, the industry was still new. People were still basically looking down on people like me, even though there were very few of us back then. But needless to say, not many people were looking to get into the business. But my point being that this is a lifestyle. This is not a job. This is a lifestyle. It's a whole way of life. And the more you do it, the more that you will see that. Track the work that your employees are doing. Track everything, every number. The more you can track, the better, guys. So that's going to be a little advice there to just, like I said, as far as when going forward in your business, you've done these steps that I've told you thus far, but you will need to track everything. That's just going to help you. And the way I used to track things was very simple. It was through a notebook. I would just, I had a notebook that was just for that purpose, and I would just write down everything that I did, in business that day. Everything that my employees had done that day, and then the very next day I would mark a new day, and I would write down everything as detailed as possible that went on that day. And over time, what I was able to do is go back when I had time. I would allocate time to go and read through and see what was going on from day to day. And what that would basically do it would reveal patterns to me. It would reveal patterns of inefficiency. It would reveal patterns of efficiency. So basically I was able to trim the fat that way, get rid of things that are working and keep things that are working. Do more of this that's bringing more dollars, do less of that that's actually costing us time. So, that's a very invaluable piece of advice, is track everything as much as you can. Okay guys, so once you go along, you're going to start bringing in dollars and profits, and when you do, it's tempting to go out there and pay bills and go out to eat and buy new cars and new watches and whatever, and that's all well and good, but in the beginning, don't do that. You need to be ready to invest your profits. Reinvest your profits into your business, and in the beginning, you're going to need to reinvest before you try to take out. So just in other words, pay the bills that you need to live as slim and under below your means as you can while you're building this thing, because trust me, once you start spending, what happens is, you see the money coming in, and trust me, I've been there, but the money starts to come in very quickly, and it's a lot of money, and it's very tempting to take it and just blow it. And what happens is, as you spend that money, it comes time to pick up another large purchase of inventory, a couple, 2, 3, or 4 pallets or a truckload, and you don't have the money. So you're going to definitely need to get it and look into wholesale, because to keep yourself busy, you will need wholesale, as well as thrift shop, garage sales. Now, surprisingly, I was able to keep my shippers and my listers supplied almost exclusively in me personally sourcing every day. And that's what I would basically spend most of my time doing, was sourcing from day to day. All right, guys, just a couple more things that you need to do here. And I'm probably going to do some follow-up videos on this in the future, because this is a very in-depth, and I'm giving you guys basically an outline. I'm not really going into too many specifics here, or this video would be way too long. There's no way I can tell you everything, in a short video. But needless to say, you do need to train. Once you've got your lister and your dedicated shipper full-time, very well trained, then you need to train them to train others, because you need to train more listers and more shippers. Sourcing, you're probably going to end up having to do yourself for the much foreseeable future. That's a tongue twister. But the reason being is because only you are going to know exactly what merchandise is selling in your store, what merchandise your customers are looking for. Your hired help is not going to know that, and trying to hire someone to go out there and source for you is going to be difficult, to say the least. So the more shippers and listers that you have, the more time that you can spend sourcing, which is going to be your strength in this game. Speaking of the DM, you guys can check out my Instagram channel, which I've started maybe just about a month ago, so it's still pretty young. Quite a few posts on there, and I do post daily. I actually like that platform quite a bit. So if you guys have not already, go over and check me out on Instagram at The King of Thrift. If you like this video and it's helped you out, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you guys have not subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe if you want to learn how to work from home, buying and reselling on eBay. And if you haven't already and you're new to this channel, then make sure you go down in the description section of this video and download your free copy of Buying and Selling Men's Shoes. This is a quick start guide to selling men's shoes on eBay. Now, I've also included in this book the top 25 men's brand names to sell on eBay. Now, this is based on my 20 years in the game. This is not based on some eBay searches as far as which ones are selling the most, which ones are selling the least. I mean, anyone can do that, and anyone can show you that. And you guys can look that up for yourself, matter of fact. These brand names are based on my 20 years in the game, and based on what's most plentiful in the marketplace, what's out there, what I find on a regular, and what I have found on a regular. So needless to say, guys, if you haven't already, go ahead and download that and get into the shoe game. Get started buying and selling shoes on eBay. It's the easiest way to get your foot in the door. It's the easiest way to get your feet wet and to start learning. Thanks for tuning in for another video, and until my next one,